You are standing in your kitchen at 11:42 p.m. holding a tiny glass bottle. It is smaller than your thumb. Inside, it is a white powder that looks like someone scraped dust off a vitamin and trapped it in a medical vial. The label says BPC157. Under that, in tiny black letters, it says not for human consumption. Which is strange because the website that sold it to you had a picture of a shredded guy holding his shoulder, a woman with glowing skin, and a sentence that basically promised your body would remember how to heal. Your tendon would heal faster, your gut would repair itself, your skin would look younger, your sleep would improve, your brain would feel cleaner, your body would become a better version of itself. And all of that was supposed to come from this, a bottle, a powder, a peptide. So you stand there staring at it, and for one very modern second, you realize how weird this has become. Because your ancestors were terrified of mystery liquids. If a caveman found a glowing vial in the dirt, he would not think, nice systemic recovery protocol. He would think, poison, and he would probably be right. But you are not a caveman. You are a modern person with joint pain, bad sleep, a stressful job, a phone full of fitness influencers, and a body that feels like it is slowly becoming a subscription service. So the question is not just, are peptides good or bad? That question is too small. The real question is, how did a serious field of medicine turn into one of the strangest wellness crazes on the internet? To understand that, we need to start with what a peptide actually is. A peptide is a short chain of amino acids. That is it. Amino acids are the little building blocks your body uses to make proteins. If a protein is like a long folded machine, a peptide is more like a short message. Small, specific, easy for the body to recognize, and your body is full of them. Insulin is a peptide hormone. It helps control blood sugar. Oxytocin is a peptide hormone. It helps with bonding, birth, and milk release. Vasopressin is a peptide hormone. It helps control water balance. GLP-1 is a peptide signal. It helps tell your body that food has arrived. So peptides are not fake. They are not just influencer dust. They are one of the languages your cells use to talk to each other. And that is why scientists got so interested in them. If a molecule can tell the body to lower blood sugar, release hormones, control appetite, tighten blood vessels, or respond to injury, then maybe medicine can copy that message. And sometimes it can. Insulin changed diabetes from a death sentence into something millions of people can live with. GLP-1 drugs helped create one of the biggest shifts in obesity treatment in modern history. Other peptide drugs are used in cancer, fertility, hormone disorders, rare diseases, and emergency medicine. That is the real peptide revolution. Not a guy on TikTok whispering about healing stacks, hospitals, clinical trials, manufacturing controls, dose studies, adverse event reports, years of boring, expensive, unsexy science. But then something happened. The word peptide escaped the laboratory, and once it got online, it became magic. Because peptide is the perfect wellness word. It sounds natural because your body already makes peptides. It sounds futuristic because scientists design peptide drugs. It sounds precise because each peptide has a sequence. And it sounds safer than drug because it does not feel like a drug. It feels like a signal, a little instruction, a biological text message. And that is where the weirdness begins. Because the internet took one true sentence, peptides can have powerful effects in the body, and stretched it into a much bigger claim. Peptides can fix you, peptides can heal you, peptides can make you younger, peptides can make your body do what it was supposed to do before modern life broke it. That last one is especially powerful because it feels emotionally true. Modern life does break things. You sit too much. You sleep under artificial light. You eat food your ancestors would not recognize. You stare at glowing rectangles until your nervous system starts acting like a trapped animal. So when someone says there is a tiny molecule that can help your body repair itself, part of you wants it to be true. Of course you do. That does not make you stupid. It makes you human. But the body is not a phone. You cannot just install a new update and reboot the meat. Biology is messier than that. Take BPC157. This is probably the celebrity of the gray market peptide world. People call it the Wolverine peptide, the healing peptide, the one athletes whisper about when a tendon hurts and patience feels like death. BPC157 is a synthetic chain of 15 amino acids based on a compound associated with gastric juice. In animals and cells, researchers have reported interesting effects related to tissue healing, inflammation, blood vessel activity, and injury models. That is why people got excited. There is something there. But something interesting in rats is not the same as something proven in humans. That sentence ruins many parties, but it saves lives. Most of the strongest BPC-157 claims come from preclinical research, animal studies, small early studies, or anecdotes. Not large, repeated, high-quality human trials showing that a person with a real injury can inject a real product at a known dose and reliably get a safe, meaningful benefit. That missing bridge matters because your body is not a petri dish with anxiety. It is a whole ecosystem. A peptide that affects healing may also affect blood vessels. A peptide that touches hormone pathways may also touch blood sugar, appetite, fertility, growth signals, sleep, mood, and things nobody measured because the study was tiny or never done. The scary part is not that every peptide is secretly dangerous. The scary part is that for many of the trendiest ones, we do not know enough. Unknown is not the same as safe. Unknown is a dark room. And the internet keeps selling flashlights with no batteries. This is why regulators care. The FDA has a category for some bulk substances used in compounding that may present significant safety risks. Several popular wellness peptides have appeared in this danger zone, including names people recognize from biohacking circles. BPC-157, CJC-1295, GHK-Cu for injection, ipamorelin, melanotan-2, TB500, and others. The concerns are not all identical. Some involve limited human safety data, some involve immune reactions, some involve peptide impurities, some involve the difficulty of characterizing these molecules, some involve serious adverse events reported in published case reports or studies, and some involve a very simple problem. Nobody can confidently tell you what happens when thousands of normal people start mixing these compounds into their lives, especially when they are stacking them. Stacking is the word people use when one mystery vial is apparently not enough. So they combine three: one for healing, one for sleep, one for fat loss, one for growth hormone, one for skin, one because a man with a podcast said it changed his mitochondria. And suddenly the human body, which evolved under sunlight, hunger, movement, infection, childbirth, and death, is being treated like a gaming computer with too many RGB upgrades. Beautiful, terrifying, mostly untested. The other problem is quality. With an FDA-approved drug, the drug has to be reviewed for safety, effectiveness, and quality before it is marketed. That does not mean approved drugs are risk-free. They are not. It means there is a system, there is manufacturing oversight, there are labels, there are known doses, there are warnings, there are clinical trials, there are inspections, there is a paper trail. With compounded drugs, the situation is different. Compounding can be legitimate and important. If a patient needs a medication without a certain dye, or in a liquid form, or during a shortage, compounding can serve a real medical need. But compounded drugs are not FDA approved. The FDA does not review them for safety, effectiveness, and quality before they are marketed. And then below that, there is the gray market. That is where the bottles start saying things like research use only, not for human consumption, laboratory reagent, which sounds official until you realize the same website also has dosing discussions, before and after photos, and reviews from people clearly not using it on laboratory mice. This is the legal costume. The vial wears a lab coat so it can walk through the internet. And sometimes what is inside the vial is not what the buyer thinks it is. The FDA has warned about unapproved GLP-1 products sold online, including versions falsely labeled for research purposes or not for human consumption. It has warned that counterfeit or illegal products can contain the wrong ingredient, too much active ingredient, too little active ingredient, no active ingredient, or harmful ingredients. That is not a small detail. That is the whole game. Because if you buy a mystery peptide from a random website, you are not just asking whether the molecule works. You are asking whether the molecule is actually there, whether the dose is right, whether it was made cleanly, whether it was stored correctly, whether bacteria came along for the ride, whether the label is telling the truth, whether the person selling it knows more chemistry than marketing, and whether your immune system is about to write a strongly worded letter in the form of inflammation. Now, this is where people get defensive, because some people swear peptides changed their lives. Their shoulders stopped hurting, their sleep improved, their skin looked better, their appetite changed, their gut felt calmer, their recovery improved. And some of those people might be telling the truth. The placebo effect is real, but so are biological effects. Both can exist. Anecdotes are not worthless. They are clues, but clues are not convictions. If one person says a peptide fixed his knee, that is interesting. If 10,000 people say it, that is more interesting. But it still does not answer the hard questions. Who benefits? At what dose? For how long? Compared to what? What are the side effects? What happens after 6 months? What happens after 5 years? What happens in people with cancer risk, autoimmune disease, diabetes, heart problems, fertility issues, or medications already in their blood? That is why clinical research exists. Not because scientists hate miracles, because humans are very good at fooling themselves when they want relief. And relief is one of the most powerful drugs on Earth. The peptide craze is not really about peptides. It is about trust. People do not trust the medical system to move fast. They do not trust pharmaceutical companies to be affordable. They do not trust regulators to understand their pain. They do not trust doctors to take vague suffering seriously. And they do not trust their own bodies anymore. So they go looking for a back door. And the internet sells them one. Sometimes that back door leads to real science before the system has caught up. Sometimes it leads to a freezer full of mislabeled powder. Both things can be true. That is what makes this topic so strange. Peptides are not fake. Peptide medicine is not fake. The future of peptide therapeutics may genuinely be enormous. Scientists are studying peptides because they can be specific, powerful, and biologically elegant. But the wellness market took that elegance and turned it into a vending machine for hope. And hope is easy to sell when people are tired. So here is the honest version. Some peptides are proven medicines. Some peptides are promising research tools. Some peptides are cosmetics. Some peptides are supplements with weak evidence. Some peptides are unapproved drugs. Some peptides are banned in sport. Some peptides are probably useless. Some may be dangerous. And some are sitting in a legal, medical, and ethical fog so thick that even experts argue about where the line should be. That is the peptide craze. Not one miracle, a category collapse. Everything got thrown into the same shiny bucket. Insulin and mystery vials, GLP-1 drugs and tanning injections, cancer medicines and gym recovery powders, clinical trials and comment sections, all under one word, peptides. And that word did something powerful. It made medicine feel personal. It made chemistry feel natural. It made risk feel optimized. It made experimentation feel like self-care. But self-care without knowledge can become self-gambling, and your body is the casino. This does not mean you should be scared of all peptides. You are alive because of peptides. Your body uses them every second. Your pancreas, brain, gut, immune system, and blood vessels are constantly sending little molecular messages through the dark. The miracle is real. It is just not always in the bottle. The miracle is that a chain of amino acids can tell a cell what to do. The danger is believing that every chain of amino acids sold online knows what it is doing. For most of human history, if you wanted to heal, you had to wait. You had to rest. You had to eat. You had to sleep. You had to let pain move at the speed of biology. Modern medicine changed that in incredible ways. Antibiotics, insulin, vaccines, anesthesia, surgery, hormone therapy, drugs that can save a person who would have died 100 years ago. But modern marketing changed something too. It made us suspicious of waiting. It made ordinary healing feel like failure. It made every ache feel like an optimization problem. So now a person can stand in a kitchen at midnight holding a vial labeled not for human consumption and feel like maybe this is the responsible thing to do. That is not just weird. That is sad. Because underneath the hype, underneath the biohacking, underneath the gray market chemistry, there is usually a person who wants their body back. They want less pain. They want more energy. They want to sleep like they used to. They want to feel young or strong or safe inside their skin. That desire is not ridiculous. It is ancient. Every human who ever lived wanted the body to keep going. The difference is that now the promise arrives in a sterile little bottle with a scientific name and a warning label pretending nobody will read it. So the peptide craze is getting weird because it sits exactly where modern life hurts most, between real science and fake certainty, between medicine and marketing, between patients who feel ignored and companies that know how to sell desperation back to them, between the body as something to care for and the body as something to constantly upgrade. Peptides may help build the future of medicine. But the future of medicine is not supposed to be a guessing game in your kitchen. It is supposed to be evidence. It is supposed to be quality. It is supposed to be knowing what is in the vial before it is in your blood, because your body is already running one of the most advanced chemical systems in the known universe. Trillions of cells. thousands of signals, hormones rising and falling, immune cells listening, wounds closing, memories forming, hunger speaking, sleep pulling you under. All of it happening without you reading a single protocol. So maybe the point is not that peptides are bad, and maybe the point is not that peptides are magic. The point is that a real signal deserves real respect. Because when you put a message into the body answers. And you want to know what you just said.